Before we go to break, I want to hear a couple of more stories from homeowners. Alex! Let's hear your story.
Well, I'm not really the homeowner. My parents, Ron and Debbie, are the homeowners. My story is very similar to everybody else standing around here, just change the details and the address in the town. I'm a volunteer with the Long Beach Police Auxiliary, and I first joined the unit in June of 2012, 4 months before the storm. And I had heard stories of Irene and our response to that storm and the recovery afterwards, but I don't think anything would have prepared our city or our region for what Sandy was about to do to us. And I remember the night of the storm incredibly vividly. I was a probationary officer at the time, and I didn't get the call from one of my supervisors to return to headquarters after the first high tide that early afternoon. So that night, I ended up taking shelter at my next-door neighbor's house just before the power went out at around 8 o'clock. My house had 4 feet of water in it, but thankfully my parents and my brother evacuated the day before and they were safe. The weeks after the storm were a blur, and as a volunteer for the past 2 years, I've been able to see the progress that Long Beach, Island Park, Oceanside, and other communities along the South Shore have made. But it still pains me every week to drive all the way from Levittown to Long Beach for my patrol and my traffic details, and to drive around the different neighborhoods and see many houses that are still dark 22 months later. Some with for sale signs out front, some in different stages of reconstruction and lifting. All are very different than how they were on October 28th, 2012. I feel that it's absolutely shameful for all levels of our government, city councils, mayors, county legislators and state reps, governors and our congressmen, that here we all are 22 months after Superstorm Sandy, and there are still not people who are not home. My home looks exactly the same as it did when we first gutted it 2 weeks after the storm. My parents paid off their mortgage and kept their flood insurance because they knew living by the water there was always a risk of flooding. They did their jobs, raised their children, and paid their bills. We filled out all the paperwork that New York Rising required of us in triplicate. So where the heck are they? What is taking so long? John Kamen, the supposed head, is MIA. Our case managers are MIA. We can't get in touch with anybody. My father is physically disabled with muscular dystrophy, a disease very similar to ALS. My brother is developmentally disabled, and so according to HUD guidelines, which New York Rising is supposed to follow, we should have been among the first to be helped. But here we are 22 months later, and still no end to this process is in sight. Our application has been complete for over a year and nothing has changed. But I still show up and volunteer every single week with the Long Beach Police Auxiliary because I love Long Beach and I can't imagine myself living or loving any other place in this world. I just hope one day I can go back and live there.
Thank you so much for sharing. Very powerful, Alex. So powerful. And keep up the great work with the Long Beach Auxiliary. Give it up again, Alex. Great job.